All right, what do we do with a whole chicken? I think that's kind of a big question I get all the time when talking about us growing out our own chicken is, do you keep it whole and what do you do with a whole chicken? And to be honest, I did have to learn how to cook a whole chicken. You can break it up. That's something that we've tried doing before, you know, whenever we're processing them, but I've learned how to use them whole. It's much easier. It goes further for our family. It's just easier all the way around. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite ways to use a whole chicken. We're going to spatchcock a chicken today and kind of just hang out and make dinner. So come along with us as we spatchcock a chicken. Robert's going to ask questions because Robert doesn't really know how to spatchcock a chicken.
I don't.
So he's going to ask questions. Here we go. I used to use this number 6 cast iron right here. If you're into cast irons and you want to number them. This works for like a 3-pound chicken, but past that you cannot use this one. So I invested in the Mac Daddy of them all. We will link this cast iron below.
It's huge.
It is I think a 15-inch is what it is. Cast iron, it's huge. I don't actually keep it out. I keep it on top of the fridge and get it out for this, but I bought this cast iron specifically so I can make one dish meals where you put everything in one pan and that's your dinner. So this is what we're going to use. This guy is a 6.6, so 6.5 pound
turkey chicken.
Yeah, turkey chicken. I almost called it a turkey because it's the size of a turkey. And this is actually one of the smaller ones, believe it or not. So one thing with these big chickens, I mean, you have to plan kind of like a turkey to defrost them in advance. I will say that. I personally just like to rinse them off first. Sometimes we leave a few feathers behind because we are doing this ourselves. So that's what they look like. I do try to pat it dry. I'm going to pat it dry again in a minute after I spatchcock it, but it's easier to work with if it's a little bit dry. Okay, so there's a few different ways that I know of that you can do this. The easiest way for me is to use a pair of Spatchcock scissors. We will link these. I love these. I have no issues with these, so I would buy them again. And basically you are just cutting out the spine, the back. I know some people will keep this attached because they plan to use the whole carcass in broths, which I do, but I just find it easier to deal with when cooking the chicken if I go ahead and just cut the entire thing out. So that's what I do. You can do this using a knife. That's actually how I first started doing it. And when I would use a knife, I would only do one side and keep it attached because it's just a lot of work with a knife. And after a little while, I realized I just need to go ahead and buy the scissors. And really what it was Thanksgiving when we did our turkey. My dad was spatchcocking it for me. And I'm like, please do not cut off your thumb. And so I ended up buying him and myself a pair. So it was a great Christmas present. Right, and so I will just save this. I have a baggie that I keep them in, and then just throw all of them in that I have every time I make broth. I usually make broth about once a month. So now we're going to flip it over and spread it out, and this is where I like to crack it in half. Now these guys are meaty. Robert was spatchcocking, or helping me spatchcock one the other day. And I was like, yeah, you have to really press it down. And he's like, I am. That's all meat. And then I came over and realized, yeah, that's all meat. So yeah, that's not going to go down anymore. And then if you want, you can kind of display it out. I don't work too hard on that because I don't care that much. So next, I pat it dry. So now we're going to get our pan heating over here. I like to use ghee. You can use, yes, liberally. You can use whatever kind of oil you want for this process. I just like ghee because it doesn't burn, gives a really great flavor, and it has a high heat smoke point. Avocado oil, coconut oil, they both do as well. You could also use those. I wouldn't recommend butter. I've done butter, and butter will burn. So I like ghee better. So you're going to rub down your chicken liberally. Now, I've had people say, I get under the skin and all this. You can totally do that. If you want to do that, go for it. I have done that. I don't think it's necessary with these chickens. They're delicious and juicy, and the flavor really comes through. So also be careful. You keep seeing me jump. I have cut myself before on these parts of the wings and on the inside, so you have to be careful. Okay. So next we're going to season. I really like using flaked salt for things like this. Maldon's is a great one. They test and they are low on lead and other toxins and problems. So I like Maldon. Jacobsen is also another really good one. We love Jacobsen a lot. We usually use Jacobsen. Yeah, this one has the garlic salt. We put this on our burgers.
Really good.
So good. And then Crucial 4 is another one. We'll list all that because salt is important. You want your salt to be basically a vitamin. Should be like a supplement, but not a supplement because it's whole food, so you don't need it. This right here is some oregano. You can see maybe there's two different colors because some of it is fresh off our farm and some of it I ordered. Okay, just a little bit of oregano. You can put whatever kind of spices you like. We also like to do like a lemon garlic as well. Just kind of depends on what you want. This right here came from my garden and it is amazing right now. So fresh. We freeze dried this. Actually, freeze dry is the way to go with your spices, if you ask me. They smell amazing and it keeps just the integrity of the flavor. I am super liberal with my spices. I'm gonna do a little bit of thyme. My thyme did not come back after the winter and did not do well. So a little bit of mustard. And a whole lot of garlic powder. One day I'll make my own garlic powder when I have my own freeze dryer. Right now I barter with my freeze dryer. So, okay, so now that it's all on there, I like to just give it a nice scrub, which it's gonna come off a little bit, but you just pat it on there. Robert, since your hands are here and I don't have to do this by myself, will you spread that oil around in the pan?
Yeah.
Oh, you're like a boss. I would not have picked that up.
What does it weigh? Just so I can brag a little bit.
That's not what I mean. I'm talking about the heat.
Oh, it's not hot.
Yeah, it gets hot.
I mean, it will be hot.
Yeah, it will be hot. Okay, so we are going to just sear. Is it sear if it's a chicken? I think so. Sear the back side of this guy. I like to leave it on here. Look, let's see what's left behind. No, that's meat. Man, we actually did a pretty good job of plating that one. I'm gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes, and in the meantime, I'm going to turn up my oven to 400. The oven we had before this, I had to cook it on a different temperature, so you definitely want to play with that. It could be 375, it could be 425. 400 seems to work really well for this one. So while this is cooking for 5 minutes, I'm going to prepare the things that are going to go in it. I did a potato and onion harvest today. So I thought that would be fun to throw some of the baby potatoes in with it. And then actually I'm going to do some of the baby onions as well, because I think that'll be cute and tasty. And I don't really want to store the little tiny ones that didn't do well. So I think that'll work. We're going to take a nice little pause here. Flip this over. This gives you that nice crispy crust on the outside. I'm going to throw some extra spices on that fell off. And it's just going to sit there for a few minutes while I finish the potatoes and onions. Real food comes dirty, they say. Well, Jessica soured, so similar to She has a shirt. She has a shoe that they have a shirt that says real food comes fruity. So satisfying. Oh, this whole meal is farm to table.
The whole meal?
The whole meal. Well, I was going to put carrots in it, which is not from the farm. Maybe I'll use the zucchini. Just so I'm gonna use the zucchini. So the whole thing can be farm to table. That's awesome. That is satisfying right there. I'm just going to toss this in a little bit of avocado oil. If I had melted the ghee ahead of time and thought about it, I would have probably used that, but a little bit of this garlic salt and some pepper. We will just toss this and put it around the chicken so that they will roast. I cut everything relatively small, otherwise it will not cook in the same time frame as the chicken. And I like to keep like with like the zucchini will hold up pretty well, carrots would have held up really well, right? Because they all have a similar roast time. Like broccoli would roast in like 20 minutes, and so that wouldn't be a good equal for the rest of this. So we're just going to put this all around the chicken here. The cool thing is as the chicken cooks and lets out its juices, it's going to flavor the vegetables too. So this is going to go in the oven. I'm going to time it for 35 minutes, and at 35 minutes I'll check temp. Because the temp is super important, and so I like to keep a close eye on it, but it's super easy. That took me about 7-8 minutes to throw together, and other than checking the temp, it will be finished. The meal will all be in one pan, and we'll be ready to eat. We're going to go 5 more minutes, but everything else looks pretty done. So we're going to go 5 more minutes. So we're at 45 minutes right now. We're going to go a total of 50 minutes. And go. Yummy. Toasty mint tea.
Lennon, is it yummy?
You want some, Jude?
Drinking it, aren't I?
You don't want any?
I don't want tea.
You don't like tea?
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think I knew that about you.